Welcome to House Wine. I am Sade, also known as Day, at Just Day on most platforms. And you are?
Angeline TV, if you haven't already, smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave us a comment down below. We need subs to continue to bring you guys content. If you're a YouTube creator, make sure that you check in afterwards and click the link for Two Buddy.
I looked at her trying to get her ready to introduce herself, but that just made it worse.
See what you did? You triggered the snippet.
I was trying to sit here, get my mind off of it. Like, yeah, you know, take your time.
Tell them your name and
Where they can So sad.
Okay, I got this.
The sad thing is that this isn't even fake. Like, this is for real. She was fine before. Literally fine. And then all
Okay,
of a
look,
sudden,
stop before I lose it.
it's sad. Let's see, she's choking and stuff. It's just sad. You got this. Just tell them what your name is. What is your name?
Hi.
I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is.
I'm Lindsay McWilson. McWilson and 89. Follow me.
Okay, today's episode it's not sponsored by, these are just the wines we're drinking on because we don't have a sponsor. But if anyone would love to sponsor us, we're actually very open to free wine.
Very true.
So today we went back to our roots. We were drinking house wine made in Braddock. It is actually a house wine by Wines of America.
Wines of America.
That name inspired us for our name.
Also, we are drinking their Dago Red because we really like their Dago Red. It's kind of sweet, but not very sweet. It's just sweet enough for all of us.
Yes,
What
it's
are you guys
delicious.
baby sipping?
And
Empty.
We don't know the name of this, but it's some sort of rosé.
I'm gonna try it. It is Gerard, Bertrand, Cote de Rosé. It is a Greenish. It's a 2019. It's a French one. It's a rosé. It has no sweetness. It's very bitter, and that is why we are babysitting this. This is
And I think
rosé.
that was 14 something percent alcohol percent.
We're babysitting this because it's very bitter. It has no sweetness to it, and it is dry. It tastes like adulthood, and we don't need that kind of negativity in our life.
And this is Josh.
No one heard what did you say?
What did you say?
I said this is Josh.
No one
That is
knows.
not Josh.
No one's gonna know how to
It says Josh.
Yeah,
That's
say
what
Josh.
Say Josh. It's no accent.
I was given that accent because, you know,
There is no.
It's
It's Josh.
It's by Joseph Carr.
Mm-hmm.
It's a red blend. It's John Sellers.
It's Josh Sellers.
And it is a red wine. It's from 2018, California. Alcohol percentage 14.
That's dope. I chose this one because we keep seeing the advertisements, and I'm always looking for, because we don't see a lot of wine advertisements.
This was made because this guy's dad left him a cellar.
Yeah.
And he wanted to pay tribute to his dad.
Yeah, that's what drew me to it, because I saw the commercial.
It has a story. It doesn't tell
And it's
you.
funny, like, I was like, yo, I never
It
really
doesn't
see.
tell you anything
It
about
doesn't
Josh.
tell. No, it doesn't tell you a flavor profile. Instead, it tells you a story about Josh Sellers and the legacy and how he used his favorite California grapes. And it doesn't say anything what it tastes like, but it says, "Hey, I have a story. I inherited this celery, and I really." Absolutely, just want to
I know.
That's what drew me to it. I was like, he was just up there like, okay, well, this
I
is
know
me.
that is good because this sells fast.
Yeah, it was
Like,
definitely
it
better
was-
like the last 3 bottles.
Like, and that's what drawn me to it. I'm like, oh, maybe we should try this because it's selling fast and
But
it's
it
only
doesn't-
4 bottles.
A lot of these dark tinted bottles, and like I say, a lot of the higher percentage wines, they're more drier and they're less sweet. So the higher the alcohol percentage, probably the less sweet they're going to be. But the less sweet they're going to be, the less of a hangover you're going to have. And these tinted bottles, so
they protect the wine.
They protect the wine. So sometimes it might trick you, and you buy this tinted bottle, and you're like, "Ooh, I bought a red wine," and then you pour it, and you're like,
it's not.
It's not
We
red.
had that happen. We're
It's
like,
not
wait,
red.
what?
But
yeah.
it's hella dry. It's gonna be dry, but we expect that. But we're gonna try it. Right now we're trying to
But
sip
wait,
on
that's
this.
French.
not dry.
It's
this
bitter.
isn't.
This is bitter.
That's bitter.
No,
That's
it's
a
not
rosé.
like that.
Oh,
We
no,
haven't tried.
that
We're
goes-
going to review it too. We're
Yeah.
just
Wait, haven't we tried this before?
we've tried it before, but it's been a
We've
minute.
never talked about it.
We've never talked about it on camera. So it
Wait,
inspired us to
wait.
start a show.
If y'all haven't checked out our first episode of House Wine, go ahead and go to the House Wine playlist. Check out our first episode, and it'll explain all the shenanigans that we.
Now we're
we
actually
did.
talking about the ones that we're
Yeah,
drinking.
because
on
the
camera.
first episode we couldn't be.
I think I should have wiped my glass out because, like, I still taste. I drank all of mine of this, and I poured that, and I'm like,
You'll be alright. You'll be okay. Just keep
I
drinking
haven't
until
ate
you have
anything.
nothing. You had a wrap. What you mean?
hold on, wait. Before the wrap, before the cheese, I haven't had anything all day.
You
Did
polished
you?
a half a block of cheese with me.
Yeah.
I know, but I was saying before.
What does that have to do with anything? As long as you ate before you started drinking, you alright?
And there is still a new block of cheese still in there.
Damn right.
So if you ain't ate nothing and you want to eat a block of cheese to clean your palate, you need to choose.
You want to bring the cheese in? Would you like for me to bring the cheese in? Some cheese.
We do need to eat the cheese.
Would you like to eat the cheese? Would you like to eat the cheese then?
I guess with the cheese to clean our palate.
So we're gonna eat the cheese.
Pause it real quick. We've gotten that out of our system. Today's topic is Thanksgiving. And today we're going to talk about what Thanksgiving is, why we celebrate it, and why we actually don't celebrate it high-key. Like, not even low-key, high-key. Black people don't really celebrate Thanksgiving. We just like having a paid day off if we can get a paid day off.
Pretty much.
And I mean,
And
I
black
feel like people
people-
say, "Oh, we're having Thanksgiving dinner," but they don't mean that they're celebrating the holiday.
and you better not be having Thanksgiving dinner this year because the coronavirus is definitely rampant because people are banned from coming to this country because we can't get in control. Doctors Without Borders are coming to the United States because we can't get it under control. People don't want to wear masks because there's no repercussion of not wearing a mask besides accidentally, purposely killing someone. At this point, you're purposely killing someone when you don't wear a mask.
Because now we're going through flu season, and the flu incorporated with coronavirus, it's bad. It's very bad. So we really need people to wear a mask because your sneeze might kill whoever it is.
The blessing is in Pittsburgh that the weather has been pretty decent to the fact that what I learned about reading stuff is viruses last longer in colder weather than they do in warmer weather, which is, it seemed like common sense. But also, if we lock down sooner than later, the vaccine will be ready by the time we unlock ourselves because we can't, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Americans act like they can't behave. They want to go to parties. And if the states individually just lock down or create their own laws about the coronavirus or if it's real or if it's not, then we'll never get anywhere. So if we unite and actually lock down all together, we could do, like, there's countries that their kids are going to school without masks. And they've been going to school without masks, and that's a weird flex. Like, they was posting on Instagram, like, my kid's going to school. And if I had a kid, I'd be hella jealous. Like, I don't want to teach my kid. I don't remember how to do.
That's really what it is. A lot of these parents are like, they've been out of school for so long, and now they've had to switch gears. Like, now I have to become a third grade teacher. Like,
I gotta work from home and teach my third grader at the same time.
yeah.
If you and little Susie would have worn a mask, then little Susie would be at school without a mask.
Susie, Molly,
Yep.
Joe, John,
Rosie. You know,
Americans don't know how.
Sally.
It turns out in Florida, for Halloween, they were having bar crawls. Without
Molly
masks.
with the good hair.
I was like, the only holiday where it's like really like encouraged to wear a mask, Florida decided to Florida and not wear it.
Florida inside the Florida.
Florida's definitely
a cesspool.
It's an adjective, it's a noun, it is a verb now.
It's just one of them things where you be like, why?
So we know why Thanksgiving exists. It's because I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Thanksgiving is the holiday where just don't sugarcoat it.
Mm-mm.
The people that landed here, people that landed at Plymouth Rock, they said, hey, yeah, we're going to break bread with you. This is our land now. And they basically Columbus the hell out of the holiday.
Mm-hmm.
Pocahontas described it all.
And they also shared it. The craziness is they also shared diseases with them too. So
Because you gotta realize these people are coming from across the sea. And unfortunately, like, we don't have that concept of being on the ocean for that long. If you traveled anywhere back in those times, it would take you months to get somewhere.
Now that I watch anime, I definitely know it takes a long time
It
to
takes
get
a long
from.
Yeah.
I watched Vinland.
Mm.
The Vinland Saga on Amazon Prime.
It takes forever to get anywhere.
They traveled by boat and they rode, not electric boats. So I was like, Vikings.
And a lot of times they'll encounter other, people on their travel and they'll stop and they'll try and trade. But if you don't have, whatever's on the boat is what you're eating. So if you don't have fruits and vegetables, you get scurvy.
And they gave
other stuff.
And they gave a lot of diseases to the people that were already there and were already settled.
Yeah.
And
They came here and they raped and pillaged the people that were already here.
and took their food. Like,
Yeah, like, what the hell?
that's why I called it Columbusing. You just walk into somebody's house and you're like, it's my house now. I'm going to eat your food. I'm going to take all your stuff. And I'll give you a disease. That's like a bonus level of Columbusing. Like,
It's a lot of...
because Christopher Columbus was lost, rather. Anybody wants to admit
Not
that or
funny.
not.
Come on.
He was lost. He
Come on
did
now.
not find nothing.
They're
And
for
I
sure
am
did
an
that
English
done.
major, and I purposely said it the way that I said it.
Mm-hmm.
He did not know what he found.
That's
Be
why when you
careful.
hear people talking about Columbus didn't discover America, they mean it. It's
He
true.
damn for sure didn't discover
He
North
landed
America
on the wrong
himself.
place. First of all, he landed on the wrong place and said, I've discovered whatever. You weren't even here.
He discovered
Oh,
nothing.
Like, you didn't discover shit.
Indians were here before.
Like, yeah, and there were people here.
Indigenous people were
Yeah.
here before.
There were people here before. You had discovered nothing. You just landed on somebody else's front porch. You should have said, hi, is it okay? That's not what happened. It was
And
taking
now
over everything.
a lot of, especially Black Americans, because the way I put it is, I have no affiliation with the actual original Thanksgiving
Mm-hmm.
because I don't really have any affiliation with. Well, there's so like as a
The traditions of.
yeah because this I don't know if I'm gonna pronounce it right. Obviously,
Say it and then
diaspora is it
Dis-
diaspora?
diaspora. That's it.
Because of the diaspora, I don't know where I'm from in Africa. I just know
Come on
I'm
now.
from somewhere in
Come on
Africa.
now. Come on now.
So a lot of American history doesn't relate to me because if I did exist back then, I probably would have still been a slave because we were still back in Africa. My ancestors were still back in Africa. So I was like, your Thanksgiving means nothing to me because what do I have to give thanks for? Because even though I wasn't supposed to be here, I wouldn't be the person I am without the diaspora. So I can't. It's like it's like bittersweet in a way because I know I will never get the respect that I deserve and for what my ancestors did because a lot of slaves built places like the White House and they picked cotton and it's funny because I watched a TikTok today and someone was like, money is built out of paper because their kid was convinced that money grew trees and it turns out money is actually built out of cotton and linen and someone was like, well, my ancestors picked cotton, so where's my dues?
Come on now. Come on now. And that's what we need. We need more people to. It's funny because, you know, when you look at different religions, and I have to bring this one up because it's relevant. Most of my family are witnesses. And if you don't know what Jehovah's Witness is, go Google that. And their stance on most holidays that they don't celebrate them because of the origin of that holiday.
Do we want to taste this to compare it or leave it?
Go crack that.
Alright.
Go crack
Continue
that.
what you're saying.
But the origin of a lot of these holidays, of course, they would call them pagan, which is not wrong. They're not wrong.
They're not wrong.
They're not wrong.
Wait, hold on. Guys, look. It's a red banner just like this one does.
You're never drinking.
Okay. Wait.
Never. But their argument for the reason why they do not celebrate these certain holidays, which is Christmas, birthdays, XYZ, is because of the origin of where these holidays came from. For example, the Christmas tree is a pagan holiday because the Christmas tree is a phallic symbol. If you don't know what a phallic symbol is, Google that.
Because you're not going to explain that.
I'm not going to explain that.
You're not going to explain
Look at the Christmas tree. And then look at, you know.
I never thought about that.
That's what it is.
I never thought
That's what it is. And back in the day, they used to worship, you know, African fertility gods. They use pointy. If you get
I've seen
a sculpture, it has a point. Right. So the Christmas tree was taken as a fertility symbol.
I've never put two and two
It's a
together.
phallic symbol.
But I can see that.
But that's what they, you know, I mean, I'm not saying this is right. I'm not saying this is my stance. But I understand why they would get to there. Like, you know how you see how someone would determine that from this? Okay, cool.
People are like, let's give thanks. I'm like, thanks for what? Y'all,
What are we giving? Okay, now.
Y'all gave the indigenous people diseases.
Right. You took their land. You took their land.
I'm gonna get.
Now, I understand the argument. The argument is, well, at least my argument is, when I celebrate Thanksgiving, I'm not celebrating because it's on this day. I'm not celebrating because of the name.
I'm celebrating my family.
I'm celebrating my family and what I'm thankful for to whoever I am thankful for it to.
I'm giving thanks to my family. I'm giving thanks to my sperm donor who sat there and impregnate my mother, who my mother birthed me and my twin.
Right.
I'm giving thanks to that.
Yeah, you're giving thanks to being here and your family. You're not thanking, oh, thank you for discovering this land. Thank you for the
corn. A lot of people's lineages ended during slavery.
Yes.
Their lineages never continued because of oppression and
diaspora.
Yeah. So the fact that I also never want to do a 23andMe because I feel like any of those things, I feel like I don't ever want to do any of those things.
But they can only go so far.
They can only go so far, A, and B, your DNA is data, and data is worth more than gold right now. And whether you want it or not, your data could be...
Come on now.
Your DNA could be in the wrong hands, and they could just be data mining your DNA. Like, it's not a conspiracy at this point. We've seen it happen in the past from these companies.
Come on.
And I was like, no, first of all, I shouldn't have to pay to trace my DNA because
Why do I have to look for what's mine?
Why should I have to pay for something that
Y'all took us from our land in our home and brought us here. So now we here and we're woke. And yes, I'm using that term because it's relevant. We're woke. We get it. Hey, guess what? We want to figure out our history. Why should I have to pay to figure out where my grandfather, my great-grandfather, or where I come from, or what I should expect from me?
I have a historian in my family. Did you try that one?
That's what I just finished.
Oh, that's really sweet. I have a historian in my family, and he traced us back to the 1800s until like a small cotton city that was in South Carolina. And I was like, there's no coincidence that's where it ends, because that's probably where it also like kind of began.
It's
on paper.
Yeah. The one thing that I can say is that we had a friend that tried to trace some of my lineage, and the funny thing is that there's only so far you can go, because a lot of the census and things that were used to document
Okay, it's dry.
people, births, deaths, all of that, names, yeah.
She said it's dry.
You write these things, it's an old thing that you hear old people say about they write in the back of Bibles, they write their family name, their birth date, they write like their family tree.
The Josh is definitely hella dry. We go very good with steak.
Ooh.
And we go good with steak.
The nice thing is that Josh has different ones, but I just got the legacy.
What, not go with steak though?
Yeah, that was good with steak. Don't play. See, now you made me hungry. Thanks, Daddy.
So put Josh back away.
No, you can keep Josh out. Yeah,
Go try him.
Get it, Josh. But a lot of these companies that tell you about your lineage, they can only go so far, because you have to understand, if they're handwritten, these ledgers and things, you can't really make out a lot of that.
Imagine a white person saying, "I'm sorry that my ancestors or potential ancestors ruined your lineage, but I'm going to charge you to figure out where you came from, even though they might have stole you."
Come on now.
And I blankly look at the screen every time I see the commercial, like, I'm not paying nobody.
Ancestry.com.
Exactly.
All you gotta do is pay $39.95, and we'll find out where you came from.
Like,
I know where I came from.
It's not like I can go back.
Right.
It's like a friend of ours, well, a friend of mine before it became ours, sat there, and their mother sat there and did a whole background check. Not a background check,
but a lineage check.
Whole lineage ancestry check on me and on her. And like mine goes back.
And now that's stored forever.
And
somewhere.
I still have it in a binder.
The thing is,
and you no longer own that.
Right. But
and I was like, if I can't
listen, us as black people, we don't own that no way. They got all of it. Here's the thing. People always come to me and they say, why are you always spitting these conspiracy theories? And I'm like, they're not conspiracy theories. I'm spitting facts. There's some things that I will literally give you a disclaimer for before I say it. I'm not sure if this is true. It could be true. I'm not sure. It could be a conspiracy theory. Y'all check it out. But there's some things that I know to be true because they've been tried. And I'm going to repeat that for the people in the back. They've been tried. And they're true. In science, we call it, you check your stuff twice to see if you get the same result over and over and over again, and then it makes it true. These things have been tried and true. Us as black people have something different. Now, we've been called black people because we're here. That's what they labeled us. We come from a different land. We've encountered different things. We've grown up on different stuff. So, of course, we may be resistant to different things. We may have, we walk different. We talk different. We may run fast. I don't know. I'm not saying we're superior, but we're just different. So, it's irresponsible for someone to say, okay, I'm going to tell you about yourself. I'm going to make you pay this money, and I'm going to tell you where you came from. How? How are you going to do that?
You never gave me my 40 acres.
Come
Come
on now.
You're going to charge me to trace where I came from to see if my ancestors were maybe slaves? I feel like that's hustling backwards if my ancestors taught me anything.
Come on now.
I'm not gonna pay you for my DNA.
Besides the fact, unfortunately, if you look back, okay, let's just take us
You
out.
can't even go back that far.
You can't. Listen, I could go. I think I got to 1700s, and all I got now is like written ledgers that I can't make out, and I'm sure someone else can't make out. It's been photocopied a million times. Someone else got my shit now.
And there's a lot of like remorse again. Like some of these universities are finding out that their founders were slave owners, and they're trying to
make up for lost time.
And
make it
like,
better.
All of you are a part of this family or this era.
But the thing is, it's like,
I'm going to give you scholarships.
I feel like people do more research when they buy something on Amazon than they do about the people that they hire and that they endorse. They do more research on something that they buy on Amazon than the people that they endorse and employ.
I'm thank you for my family, and I'm thank you for the history of my family.
But
And
I'm
not
that you got ears to hear it and eyes to see it and hands to feel it.
American history, though, is not my history. Because voting season just passed, and black women were the last people that got rights to vote.
Yeah.
They were the
now,
last.
Let's clarify that. Let's clarify that, because I know y'all are probably like, oh, women. No, we're not talking about women. We're talking about black women. Okay? Listen, we got the men and the black men that finally were able to vote.
While the white women,
and then the white women were able to vote. Black women were the last ones. Black women. Black
men got to vote.
Yeah.
Before black women got to vote.
Yes.
Meanwhile, black women were on the front line just taking care of those white women that were fighting for women's rights. They were taking care of their babies, and they were good enough to breastfeed the white women's
Now, I know what's going to be brought up. Somebody's going to say, well, that was back in the day, and why rehash? Are you still mad? Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
That's what, but if you
absolutely, I'm still upset.
If you think about it all,
like,
that's what people should still be giving thanks to.
Yeah.
Like,
if you decide, okay, I'm going to celebrate Thanksgiving, please give thanks to the things you're supposed to be giving thanks to. Don't take, first of all, we shouldn't be taking a date, and saying, okay, well, this is Thanksgiving. Especially once you know what this date signifies to a lot of our indigenous people. This date does not signify happiness for them. It doesn't signify joy or
That's
togetherness.
why I'm excited that Pittsburgh actually is recognizing Juneteenth as a holiday next year, a paid holiday.
Yes, because it's important to even if you're biracial, you need to acknowledge the other parts of you. Because they're maybe wonderful. You don't know. I mean, you talk about like all these things that happen, like the Jewish community, they acknowledge, the Holocaust and all these things that are horrible, and then I feel like we're behind. We need to be acknowledging our shit.
She keeps rocking back and forth.
She can't help it. She do that.
I didn't even know I was doing that.
I swear if I speed up the table to look funny as hell, she'd be like.
Hold on, wait. She does this.
I just tapped her like you're rocking back and forth.
I didn't
it's
know
great
I was
that we
doing that.
got-
I'm sorry.
It's great that we got Juneteenth and that it's being
That was
recognized as, it's a legitimate day, and people all over, every race, every color should recognize this. Just like we gotta recognize all these other holidays.
After the Emancipation Proclamation was signed, the slaves were technically not free until a year after. And once they were free, the slave owners got paid to let their slaves go. And I was like, that's backwards as hell. Like, my dad, once he read American Hurt and he saw that line in there, he was like, were slave owners actually really paid money after they let their
Because
slaves
their
go?
argument was, oh, well, this is our bread and butter, and if you let our slaves go free, who's gonna till our land? Who's gonna pick our cotton? This is our livelihood. In that voice, and they said, well, look, it's their choice. And listen, don't get it fucked up. A lot of them stayed.
And slavery is also why the electoral college exists. Most people want to realize it or not.
Come on now.
Like, I do a lot of reading. I grew up in a library. Like, I was like, I read a lot. I know a lot about a lot.
Did you just tell me to stop?
Yeah, peace.
It is.
So, Thanksgiving in the future, I hope we get rid of a lot of the, I don't want to say we get rid of the American history of it all, but if you can't call America a melting pot and say, hey, we need to celebrate the settlers coming and settling with the pilgrims and giving them diseases, and it's basically like, no, it's not basically, it was genocide that happened. We can't do that and say America is a melting pot. We have to accept one or the other or all of it together. You can't just pick and choose part of American history that you want to exist and be like, oh no, slavery was great. Like, in Texas, some textbooks say slavery was voluntarism, and I am disturbed.
You said, I am disturbed. I ain't you. I mean, I think we're moving into a generation where we need to be more transparent, and we need to be more open, and we need to stop trying to sugarcoat things. History is history. What happened, happened. And you need to give people the opportunity to rise to the occasion. If we have a bad history, if we did some shit that was terrible,
just
you need to say it.
Accept it, because in other countries,
they say that shit.
They teach American history, the good and the bad and all of that.
Hiroshima happened.
The good, the
bad,
and the ugly.
Like, American history is a course in some countries, and they teach all the things that we don't get to learn.
Yes.
I'm grateful
they teach all of American history, the entire history.
I'm grateful that my mom taught me so much, because she knew that the American education would fail me.
Yes.
And I grew up in the library, so what she didn't teach me, I sought out myself as a kid.
And I mean, these institutions that we're talking about still exist to this day. So if you are a youngin', if you're an oldin', I don't even care what age you are, and you have not experienced the library, please, please, please. I know it's hard during this pandemic because things are locked down, but it is free.
And they're still checking out books.
Go read something. Go to the African American cultural section.
And you can also check out ebooks on your phone.
Yes.
And read the
There's
ebooks
no
on
excuse.
Your phone.
There's no excuse. You know, I start you off with Shaka Zulu. Why? Because it teaches you something about things that you may not be, privy to. Learn about where you're from. Learn about where other people are from.
Even start you out with roots.
Yes, roots is an excellent,
That is
it's an extreme, but it's also something to make you think. There are also sociology DVDs and VHS tapes that you can buy. Growing up with violence. There's so many different educational videos that you can sit down and yes, it may have graphic things in it, but we're in an age where if you're a parent, you need to be able to explain this to your children. Mm-hmm. This isn't the time where you're like, oh, I'm going to cut it off here and not explain what that was.
You can't be an adequate ally without seeing the good and the bad and seeing all aspects of what it means to be a black person. I'm not even going to say an African American, because a lot of people identify as black because they don't know if they actually come from Africa or their ancestors came from here, because
there's nothing to support
that.
Mm-hmm.
We're just here, just like we got here. We don't know how we got here, but we're doing the best we can, even though we know we're not accepted a lot of the time.
And it's a shame, because we have a whole generation of young people that are going to be worse off than we are mentally, and
we got to keep passing this knowledge on to people.
And not in a negative way. I hear a lot of things as of recent that are passing this information on as hate. And that needs to stop. We don't want people out here killing each other. We've had enough of that.
Be proud that your ancestors may have built the White House.
Yes.
May have built historical landmarks.
You know, and our Indian, our
indigenous people.
No, I'm talking about the Indian. Like an Indian.
Okay. To lighten
that
things,
built the Taj Mahal.
to lighten
That's something
things,
that you guys can look up. Also, like I said, a lot of these books that you can look up at the library are invaluable. You know, don't censor everything. Just be ready to explain to your kids what this is. Don't shield them so much, but be ready to teach and explain. Because a lot of these things that they're saying, they need someone to reinforce and explain these things to them. Like, why is this so shocking to me? Did this really happen? This isn't fake. This is reality.
And a lot of black people are prospering right now.
Right.
Doing first.
So to lighten things up on a lighter note,
Mm-hmm.
what does Thanksgiving mean to you?
I mean, if I take the other stuff out, and if I
What
reimagine,
does, okay, wait, let me
It means
rephrase
all of
that.
the food.
What
Real
does
talk,
what
real
does
talk.
this Thanksgiving coming up mean to you?
food.
Not this thing. Well, this thing.
All my Thanksgivings before this meant family. Like, I was always excited because I knew that my family from out of town would come. And I knew that my uncle was going to cook all this great food and we would all enjoy it. Because we only eat this stuff once
because
a
it's
year.
a pandemic. I don't encourage anybody from out of town to go anywhere.
Nope. Mail order system.
If you don't want to give grandma the heebie-jeebies, just stay home.
And also, like, there's so many inventive ways of us to share
Okay.
Thanksgiving. Technology has
Go to
made
your
it so
one.
that we can.
That's
There's
your
no
birthday.
excuse. Besides the fact, I mean, I'm going to say this because a lot of times people forget, but Thanksgiving and holidays should not be the only time you reach out to those family members that you love. You know, it should be a once a year or twice a year thing. If you really love somebody, you really like spending time with them, you should reach out to them often. This just makes it more real because now we're in a pandemic and we can't be close to one another physically. You know, ask grandma for the recipe to her mac and cheese. Ask grandpa to the recipe to sweet potato pie and try it on your own. You know, these are things that we all need to get closer to one another. If it's through Zoom, if it's through a phone call and check up on your people.
Like, I'm having a virtual family reunion in December with people like that I've never met. Some of them from different states, like with all family, and because we know we can't travel because we're out at different levels because we're not the United States right now.
And don't get mad at your family because they're like, nah,
It's the
girl, I ain't
government.
coming.
It's the government's fault because they did a piss poor job of
Yeah.
handling a pandemic.
And like, you know, I have shout out to all my sisters. I know it's 7 of y'all: Talise, Asia, Paris, Cindy, Tamika, KK, all y'all. You know, everybody,
Talise.
India, all y'all. You know who you are.
Talise.
Talise, we love you.
See, I remembered
And,
you, but she forgot.
Normally we would make arrangements to come and see our family and our friends. But because of the respect that we have for you and your health, we're abstaining from that. But that doesn't mean we can't Zoom. That doesn't mean we can't call. That doesn't mean we can't use the postal service to send a card to say, hey, I love you. I'm glad you're alive. I miss you. Little things like that can mean everything to somebody. You know, especially now that we have to be away from each other, doesn't mean we have to be away from each other.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder, and it might be healthier this year. We don't
Write
wanna be
letters.
we don't want to be like the original settlers and
Real
be like
talk.
spread disease to each other. Like,
we're gonna come and kiss you all.
like, don't do that. Don't be that person. Y'all can withstand
Also,
1 year.
another thing that I think a lot of people don't know, I know a lot of people going to Niagara Falls. You know, it's a great place. It's like one of the wonders of the world, whatever. If you've ever gone to one of those shops that sell you the keychains and the t-shirts and the cups and all the little stuff that you bring back saying that you went to Niagara Falls, take a second
Make a crash for the family members
and
who
realize
can't
where
see.
these things have come from and who's making them. A lot of the population that's in Niagara Falls and the Buffalo area,
They're hella racist.
are Native American people that have decided that they're going to open up shops and get their coin.
The last time I was in Niagara Falls, New York.
New York is fucking crazy.
I was like, why are all these people
But if you
standing
go
out here?
across the way, it's all them indigenous. Like the casinos and all that stuff. They're all Native American owned. So when you go in there, you know, and they usually have a seal on the door that will identify them as whatever tribe they are. Go ahead and patronize those places. You know, try to be a little more aware of where you're shopping and what you're buying. You know, because there's a lot of people out here that are just buying from anybody. And if you have a choice or an opportunity to support people who have been put aside or disparaged by, you know, some of our lesser-minded counterparts, try and do a little more. You know, try and be a little more educated.
She's like, I'm not moving. I'm stuck in this spot.
If you're wondering what's happening over here, there's a very furry thing. It's furry, very furry. Very
She's
furry.
like, I'm not gonna move.
She's like, you're petting me, you're
Just
scratching
pet me.
Then they got these nails with the points on them, and they're like, ooh, you have claws, you're one of us. But that is our Thanksgiving episode. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. There is a link down below. It's at JustDay, McWilsonAnd89, Angelie TV. Go on our Instagram page, My House Wine. Subscribe, tell a friend. And we're here every Monday and Wednesday. Well, depending on how we feel in this pandemic.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Bye.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you, Wines of America. Please sponsor us. Yes.
Jose.
No, it's
Juice.
Josh.
Jose.
Jose's tequila.
Jose's Tequila. If you're out there, we love you. Josh Wine, thank you so much. Cote des Rosas.
Thank you so
very
much, Wines of America.
We'd also like to give a shout out to Franzia Wines.
Oh, wait,
And
no, wait. And
Franzia.
House
Is how you
Wine.
pronounce it.
Franzia. Yeah, Franzia and Two Buddy for helping us get these posts up extra quick and without hassle.
Bye.
Later, people.
Also, I got this shirt from Philly DeFranco.
What?
I'm part of DeFranco Nation, which is awesome.
Say it one more time for the people in the back.
Philly DeFranco Nation is where I got this shirt from. It was limited edition. You probably can't get it now, but he always says drops, which are nice. I've been following him on YouTube for decades.
That means there's going to be a link somewhere down here.
Down below, comment down below.
And also,
Please
if you
do.
haven't, go ahead and check out this wonderful lady right here. Because she's the dopest that ever did it. Okay, we need y'all to go and check out American Hurt and Return to Sender and all the rest of the deliciousness.
They're available on Amazon by Sade Jones with a C, not with an S.
Not with an S, damn it. Get it right.
Link in the bio.